hawktuah podcast is generally terrible.
Hawktuah.
You gotta put like an emphasis on it, like tuh. You know, like really. Yeah. Say it. All right, all together.
What is going on?
Hawktuah.
Hawktuah.
Wow, listening to this is a wonderful use of my day. Now, I've seen a lot of pointless podcasts that did not need to exist in my time. Like, just a few weeks ago, we looked at that podcast that I can't even remember the name of off of the top of my head. I think it was called, like, the Empowered Podcast or something.
When you come back, when you come back from work, you're tired, bruv. You just want to go to bed.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't wait for holiday.
Sometimes I'm in bed and I'm like, bruv, I need to brush my teeth.
And that was pointless. But this just takes it to a
Pressing teeth
whole
podcast.
new level. For those somehow unfamiliar with the hilarious viral sensation of hawktuah, this is Hayley Welch. And she went viral a few months back for her response to an on-the-street interview by a channel called Tim and DTV.
What's one move in bed that makes a man go crazy every time?
Oh, you gotta give him that hawktuah and spit on that thing. You get me?
Funny I ever seen in my life. Incredible. This still makes me heartily belly laugh. And apparently the world did too, because she became very famous overnight.
I guess so.
For this, there was merch and everything. Let's have a look at some of it, because some of it is incredible. All right, so we got the hawktuah 24 spit on that fang. Brilliant. I'd wear that to my wedding.
Okay. Actual pace.
American flag hawktuah. Eat, sleep, hawktuah, repeat. Again, I would wear this to the birth of my first child. If she don't hawktuah, I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk to her. This one's just grim.
Okay, the previous one is actually pretty good.
It's just grim for some reason. She's also been making bank from public appearances, apparently charging up to $30,000 per one. Well, that's my future child's first birthday party sorted, and I'll be stood there in the corner in my unofficial hawktuah merch. But something I've not seen anyone talk about is how weird the actual interview was.
Okay, I got another one for y'all.
Okay.
Would you rather? Hold on, is she listening?
Would you rather?
Would you rather have back shots for the rest of your life or missionary for the rest of your life?
Mate, what are we doing here? Going up to girls outside a bar going, what's better, missionary
What is this? What
or back
interview?
shots? I'm not sure if this is like a normal thing to do in America, and I very much doubt it is. But if you did that in the UK, you get called a weird nonce and laughed at until you went away. And that isn't the only strange
In India, you probably get called a police.
interview she's done. She did this one with KIIS or KISS, I don't know how you pronounce that, an Australian radio station after she blew up, and it's weird. I was trying to think of a more descriptive word for it, but the best way I could describe it is just fucking weird.
They all know who you are for such a funny little thing. Do you really hachtung, or were you just having a laugh there?
Bloody hell, man.
What?
Is that really the first question you have to ask this 21-year-old girl? Do you actually hawktuah? Man, come on, why are we doing this? Come on.
I was just having a laugh there.
So you're not a spitter.
Brother, come on now. Come on, surely you're
What is he trying to ask?
better
Man?
than this. It doesn't stop there. I think he catches himself being weird and like just stumbles over his words.
Yes or no? Spit? No, spit.
But anyway, there was clearly a large demand for regular hour-long content with her, so she answered the prayers of the many and announced her podcast called Talk To Us. Like, hawktuah, but you're talking to us. Very clever wordplay.
I'm Hayley Welch. A little while ago, my life took a complete left turn and it changed forever. And along the way, I've realized that everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
What does that even mean? Saying hawktuah gave you a new insight,
I guess make money out of it, so whatever.
perspective on life that made you realise that everyone is entitled to their own opinion. Did you not realise that before?
They're actually monetizing the two words. But
What? I think she's just saying stuff for the intro. Fair enough. But what are you trying to say this? I realised that everybody's entitled to their own opinion. How did this make you realise that?
Well, now it's my time to talk. Check out my podcast every week, Talk To Them, where I'm sitting down with the coolest guests and having actual conversations with them.
Oh, okay, well that's good and novel. There's not many podcasts out there where people get guests on and have actual conversations with them. There was really a gap in the market for that, I think. Now, this podcast is ran by Jake Paul's company, Better, which, as you might be able to guess, is a betting site. And Jake, little piece of advice for you here. keep funding this podcast. It is a very wise and shrewd decision, and this will no doubt return you millions. Every week, people from all over the world
podcast is becoming popular.
will be waiting with gleeful anticipation for the next episode of Talk Tuah. Anyway, let's watch this episode because that's what this video is about.
Come on, Haley. It's not that bad. All right, it's time to get out of the bed and quit rotting. Haley, get up.
All right, I'm ready to talk.
Get in! Talk Tuah! Us.
Matt Walsh.
Haley, did you get it? It's the name of the podcast. It kind of
Not Matt Walsh, the guy from
sounds like
the
Talk Tuah.
comedy.
The phrase she said. Only intellectuals will understand this.
And I want you guys to get to know me better than hawktuah.
Ah, good thing you called your podcast Talk Tuah then, because people will surely forget about that with that sort of branding.
No, it's tuh. Like, you really got to put your emphasis. Yeah, you're not saying tuah, you're saying tuh. You know? Like, you got to really put your back into it. Tuh.
How fucking sick of saying that phrase do you think she is? Huck and Tuah have probably been half of the words she said in the past 3 months.
Say the line.
Haley.
Hawktuah.
Now, this may come as a shock to you, but this podcast is kind of uneventful. I know. Who would have guessed that, eh? In fairness to her, her presenting ability isn't bad at all for someone who got thrown into this like 3 months ago, and this is her first ever podcast episode that she's hosting. And she seems a nice enough person, but there's not a lot of substance to the first episode, like, at all. There is really no reason for this
Yeah, what do they actually talk about?
to exist. It just feels like someone's gone, she's quite popular, let's just give her a podcast because it might do well and we might be able to get people onto our betting site. But one of the most interesting things to happen on this podcast is she kind of alludes to Jake Paul being a bit of a dick.
Jake's pretty wild.
He's a little spooky to talk to.
Really?
That's like a man, you know.
And what are you noticing in the difference between being a fan of someone from afar
Not this
and meeting
gal.
them? Like, is it what you expected?
He was exactly what I expected. Like, he lets on like he's an asshole, and that's what I like about him. He owns up to that shit. He knows it.
That's kind of big in the first 4 minutes of your first podcast your boss is funding to just go, yeah, he's a bit of a shit. I respect it. I respect that massively. They then go on to talk about Botox for a bit, and it is astoundingly uninteresting.
I get a little myself. I call it Brotox when I do it. So when you start young, you're actually just getting rid of whatever wrinkles would pop up.
Well, yeah, but if you get all that shit done when you're young, by the time you're 27, you look
Yeah,
like
no thanks.
you can't move your eyebrows. This is just big cope in my opinion. Oh yeah, I get Botox, but it's just like, it prevents, my face from moving.
Yeah, then you can move your face after 10 years.
Here's the thing. Number one, if you're a girl and you get Botox, number one, you're going to attract pedophiles.
What the f*** are you even on about? If anything, I found that Botox makes people
What is he saying?
look older. They just look more smooth. Are we really that out of things to say already that we're at the point of going, yeah, anyone attracted to someone with Botox is a massive pedo? What are you talking about? What does that even mean? I feel like maybe this is a joke. I don't know. But it's not delivered like a joke.
But like, so that's something that is such a breath of fresh air about you.
It is.
You know?
I agree. So I'm going to be real with y'all. I was never the biggest football fan. I honestly don't even get the rules that much. But what I do know is I like having fun and winning money. And Better Picks lets you win up to 1,000 times.
Oh, I knew there was an ad coming up.
The app is super easy and it makes it 1,000 times more fun.
10 minutes into the first ever episode and we're already getting an uncharismatic ad brief for a betting site. Hell yeah, I wasn't familiar with your game, but the fact you're promoting such a service that allows people to make loads of money is very respectable. This will no doubt change lives for the better. We should be more thankful for betting sites and casinos, I think, because they're really out here just giving free money to people. It's so kind of them. They're basically charities.
Just imagine if Chelsea said hawktuah and not you that night. Would Chelsea be sitting in that chair?
Okay, now these are the big questions
What?
I came to this podcast for. If
So they're just wobbling.
her mate said Huck to her instead of her, would she be the one sat in that chair? Would she be the one with the 30 grand public appearances? Would she be the one with the Huck to her merch? This is a philosophical question that people will be asking and studying for
actually
centuries to
might
come.
be
It's the
there.
modern, if a tree falls and no one is there to hear it, did it really fall? If Haley Welsh's friend said Huck to her instead of her, would she be hosting the Talk to Her podcast instead?
I can't do it as good as
Do
Haley.
it.
You do it.
No, you do it.
Hot to.
There you go.
You gotta put like an emphasis on it, like tuh. You know, like really. Yeah. Say it. All right, all together.
Hot to.
Hawktuah.
Hot to.
Say it aggressive, like
Hot
you really.
to.
Like, you're mad at the day. You're mad at it.
Hot
Oh.
Oh, that is so funny, huh?
Huck to her. Huck to her. Talk to a podcast. You have won the internet today.
I think we need to like do I don't know, like a bar crawl where we get you drunk and try to get you a slogan.
I got something you can say.
This podcast is so dead. It's actually amazing. Like, it's just dead on arrival. They already have nothing interesting at all to say. And look, I don't blame Hayley at all. She's just securing the bag and riding this wave she's caught.
I mean, she's just starting out, so whatever.
Honestly, she is the best person on this podcast. Like, these two have said absolutely nothing of interest to anyone who has ever lived on Earth. And this person just annoys me. But to be completely fair, she does tell some stories of interest. Like, she talks about her ear getting bit off by a staffy, which is a pretty mental story. And she does carry the conversation. And she's the guest. So where does it go from here? Are the guests just going to be carrying every episode? And I know I said Hayley is the best person on this podcast, but she acts more like a guest than the host. Do you know what I mean? Why am I analysing the talks of a podcast this much? What am I doing? But the thing is, the podcast is just based off someone saying something that will make you giggle to yourself for like 1 second. I don't see how this lasts more than 10 episodes. And that's being generous. Like, what more is there to say after that?
But if they have a fan, that's better.
Do you remember that
Depend on the guest.
game I mentioned beforehand where you can win up to 1,000 times your money? Well, turns out it gets even better. Better Picks is offering a deposit match up to $200.
Again.
And a free pick for all new users. So basically, if you put like $200 in, they match it. That's $400 right there.
What? That's free money. Oh, that's so generous. I very much doubt there is any catch or downside to that. Tell you what, Jake Paul, he's such a generous bloke, isn't he? Just giving away $200. Wow. God bless him.
Okay, maybe not.
She's just milking it.
That respect.
I'm not doing this anymore. Like and subscribe to That Fang.
Yeah.
By That
No,
Fang, I mean this
Deb.
channel.